Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Welcome back. It's me, Terry Hunter, here on my channel with, we're renaming the show Traversing the Transits with Terry Hunter. And we're working on some fun new visuals for y'all. So welcome, Carly. Hi, Juan. I hope you're all well today. I'm going to kind of give it a minute. See as welcome. I see more people. Yay. So we have a full moon in Leo this week on Wednesday, February 16th at the 27th degree, which has been a theme for some full moons. I was listening to Pam Gregory. She's the one that brought it to my attention. And I think the last 2 or 3 full moons have been at the 27th degree. This Leo full moon is also going to be at the 27th degree. And I was thinking about 27 reduces down to a 9, and a 9 is a completion of a cycle. We've got the nodes bringing in more karmic dynamics, indicating the completion of a cycle, the cycle that is really one about choice. And all of this energy is in fixed signs. I just think it's fascinating when I watch it. And as you can see by my hair, I was feeling kind of lioness this morning. So I allowed the curls to go crazy. And then I thought it'd be fun to wear a fire sign color. Because I really think that this full moon, is asking us how much time and attention are we paying to our inner child, to the idea of enjoying our lives. I'm not talking about this frivolously, you guys. I really believe that the soul continues on and on and on. And it makes zero sense to me why the soul would incarnate in a situation to just be miserable and dutiful to someone else and following someone else's agenda, which has been what mankind has done for eons. So here we are in this pivotal stage of evolution as we've entered the age of Aquarius to really say, you know what? Is being mindful of my own happiness selfish, or is it selfless? I was listening to another astrologer. I listen to various people randomly. I don't know why they show up. And I'm so rogue and I'm so different because he was going on and on about how important the sun is. And you guys know how I talk about, I think the moon is so important because humans are emotional beings. And if you feel miserable, I don't really care what the stars say. You cannot manifest your dreams when you don't believe in them. You don't feel emotionally attached to them. They feel emotionally distant to you somehow or impossible. So I think that these moon cycles are super important for us to continually ask ourselves, which is what I think Pluto's influence has been doing. Are we stretching for the deepest part of ourselves? And success is really not the goal. The goal is the journey. It's the journey of being aware in each moment. Am I making decisions that are leading me to what I really want to experience? So when I looked at this idea of this Leo new moon and all the things that Leo represents, it represents children. And I kind of laugh because it represents leadership. It represents the heart. Some of these things almost feel counterintuitive when we look at them. If Leo rules children, not just bringing children into the world, but children, childlike play, fun, frivolity, hobbies, pursuits. Little children love to perform for their parents. So if all of that's in play, then where's that? Is the sun the only thing that really represents the leadership, or is the true leadership being able to connect to the inner child and naively and faithfully pursue the enjoyment of the inner child? As we move into the age of Aquarius and as Uranus starts to go further and further through Taurus and running into the North Node, I think people are going to be ravenous to feel themselves express themselves. They're going to be ravenous to kind of enjoy the journey of falling down and getting back up. I really believe that. I feel like the fixed signs, as they become more, because this is a fixed energy, this T square. Okay, so let's look at this real quickly. We've got this full moon in Leo in opposition, or the full moon in relation is in opposition to the sun. The sun's in Aquarius, and it's making an aspect to the nodes. So I think this is super exciting because the fated south node in Scorpio says, are you willing to dig deeper and be egoless to another person's opinion as to whether your dream is viable or not? It isn't about anymore the assessment. And while we all want an audience, we have watched people who have been authentic to themselves, and we didn't know we would be their audience, but they took us on their journey with them. The first person I think of is Jim Carrey, because he's so out there in his comedy. And initially people might look at him and go, oh, maybe he's a little cray-cray. And then you were like, you want to be in there. You want to enjoy that part of him that expresses that kind of thing. So this is where I'm going with this idea. The full moon, I think, is really going to illuminate for us how well we are tending to that inner child. And it isn't about the accomplishment again. It isn't about the adult part of ourselves superimposing onto the child, but allowing the child to lead the adult for a minute, to allow ourselves to put our toes in the sand, and not with the idea of responsibility, but with the idea of enjoyment. The idea of being present in that moment. So I think that's super important. Hey, everybody. Hi, Juan. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Jenny. Hi, La Vida. Negra. Hello, Michelle. I'm missing some people. Lucy Rose, you made it. Yay. I think this emotional roller coaster that a lot of us have been on is this sort of breaking away, or the initial identification of having to be aware, is my happiness actually focused on what makes me happy, or have I been so ingrained and branded with the idea of my happiness is if other people approve of my happiness, that it sort of has gotten muddied. This last couple of years, as Pluto's made squares to my ascendant, my sun, and Mars, I realized I did so many things unconsciously. Like, I remember buying, I don't know if you guys remember, I had a big brown chair that used to be behind me. It was like a lounger. And, I bought that chair. It had nothing to do with my taste. I don't know. I thought someday my brother-in-law might come over and sit in the chair. And in the back of my head, I was like trying to create a warm environment for the people that would come to be and sit in my home. And nobody ever does come and sit in my home except clients. So I finally got rid of the big brown chair, and I bought this loud, much more Teri-like little French type chair with birds and flowers all over it. And I started to identify the deeper levels of who and what I am and what I want for myself, and how I had been inadvertently making moves and decisions for the approval and the acceptance of other people. Because Leo likes an audience. So I want to really ask you guys to dig deep, because I want to offer this way. The more you engage in your own version of yourself, and the more of an excitement bubble you get for that, you will bring those that will support and validate and encourage and applaud your successes. So I think it's super, super important to really give this. We got 22 people in the room, 12 likes. It's the year 2022. I don't think this is about partnership with other people. I think this is about partnership with me and my bigger dreams. And this is the huge revolution, the huge Aquarian age, is that as I give myself permission to move towards my joys and my pleasures, I also see how you, and I don't have to agree with you, but I can understand and relate to your journey of your own joy. And that's what I think this whole planet is really about. And somewhere we got lost and mixed up in the journey, and we got confused. We started to pay attention and focus in on rules that over and over again supported our unhappiness. I know it sounds crazy, but if you really think about it, it's true. Hey, Brandon, good to see you. Hi, Jenny B. Janine, good to see you. Small Wildflowers, thank you for being here. As always, my musketeers. I think of us as the three musketeers. Oh, yay, Stephen, that's fun. Okay. Hey, Welsh Roses, good to see you. Well, this is what I want to say too, because I think that the idea of partnership with ourselves is really the invitation to partnership with others in a healthier way. I don't know if you guys saw, I did a Valentine's Day video, and I felt like Spirit was really encouraging me to be present in the moment. And in that presence, not just looking at what was happening, but looking at how even sometimes the disruption was serving my happiness. The annoyance, the me not getting what I think I want, because if I got what I thought I wanted, it would really diminish the truth of my potential. And this is very challenging because oftentimes we see our successes, whether they be in relation or in partnership, they're only as good as the person who is our biggest critic. You know, if you ever notice that the people that really support you, sometimes you don't even listen to their opinion anymore. If they're too kumbaya or they're too on your side, we as humans are so predisposed to look for the hardest, most challenging dynamic and want to conquer it. So rather than avoiding that, it's an awareness of it. And then really asking yourself, do I want to climb that hill? Do I really care? Is that part of a tribe of people I want to be around? Do they even like the same things I like? I mean, these are questions that I think we get to ask ourselves. Hi, Michelle. Howell, good to see you. Okay, let's get into our readings. It is at the 27th degree, Brandon. And this was very interesting because I think it was Pam Gregory who brought this up. I listened to a variety of older people now. For some reason, I'm feeling the pull to listening to the wise and the ones that have been here a while. And I think this 27 that reduces down to a 9 is sort of like the 29th. I know it's not, but I was feeling like this is a degree that's a fork in the road. It's a karmic degree of these full moons, because are we going to continue to repeat the same patterns and pretend we don't notice? Or are we going to be aware and allow ourselves the privilege of choice so that we can move to the next level of vibration? And when I say vibration, I mean that's truly inviting in this abundance and feeling a sense of safety within it. I got triggered into so many weird songs. I saw Lowrider Chevy this morning, and then the song Lowrider got stuck in my head. And then Diana Ross's Touch Me in the Morning got stuck in my head. And I started to think about all these songs and all these dynamics that we kind of honor and submerge ourselves in, that are not really singing the song or telling the story of what I really want to experience. You know, I mean, if you really dig deep, you'll find that your biggest dream makes you very uncomfortable. And that's what I want you to dig deep in on this Leo full moon. How uncomfortable am I really with it? I can understand that. It's kind of, you could call it a clump, or you could call it a series of steps that lead to the illumination of the choice. Do I want to be a master here, or do I actually want to repeat the same thing over and over? And if I'm being a master, how am I being authentic in my own participation of this creation? Because we are always participating, whether we like it or not. Yes, she is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's start with our Pisces, as we do. And I'm going to look at the houses, because I think that also I want to offer this. The nodal structure and having the square. I don't want it to scare you, but I think, again, if we look at the nodes as karmic points, if we think of the south node as what we're used to and the north node of what we're stretching for, then I think this is really an opportunity to take this to another level of, if I am authentic in my Leo energy about what makes me happy, how does that really serve fixing that into the physical experience so that I can feel and trust the experience more? And in doing so, lead others through invitation. Oh, did I tell you it was 27? It's 27 degrees and where did it go? 59 seconds. Okay. Let's start with Pisces. So Pisces, the Leo full moon will be in your 6th house. So first thing I think about is service, employment. Am I doing something I enjoy in the way of service? I was listening to, I bought a book on Neptune, and I've been wanting to study Neptune more because I feel like Neptune gets like kind of dropped into 2 categories, right? You're either the buzz head or you give up your power to someone else and you're watery and you turn into whatever mug you're poured into. And I've been thinking about the idea of Pisces actually being able to, in some ways, own themselves a little bit more, not feeling like you're being poured into a cup, but maybe you're choosing the cup that you are taking shape of. I feel like if I look at Leo as the 6th house and the full moon illumination of Pisces, it's like, how much am I giving up of myself by not recognizing myself? You know, sometimes when a person perceives themselves as weak or as unassuming, when they see really charming, outgoing people, they look and they think that's very attractive. But everything has its balance. Sometimes the really big people look at the unassuming people and wish they could tone it down a little bit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is during this full moon, can Pisces give themselves permission to take their 6th house of service and look at the idea that being of service to in some ways, I know it's almost like being in service to your health, but your health, your mental health, your sense of self-health, that then ends up being of service as you allow yourself to empower yourself and come in partnership with yourself. I hope that makes sense, because again, it's like taking these accesses. You know, there's a reason why Virgo is in the opposite sign of Pisces, because if Pisces is too accommodating, then they're not really serving. And if we go up to Virgo and it's too critical and too, detail oriented, it's missing something. So we want to combine these things. So how can Pisces be more in a Leo-like energy and thinking of themselves and what makes them happy? Because that happiness might actually help your other relationships in your life. Okay, let's look and see what Spirit has to say for Pisces. Layla is asking you to spend some time in nature about what's going to make you happy. Seraphina's in the opportunity or the obstacle. Teresa's in the angel's advice. And Francesca is in the final position. Layla's being joined by the Burden card. Serena's being joined by the High Priestess. Teresa's being joined by the Butterfly. And Francesca's being joined by the Wasp. This is a little challenging for Pisces, I'm going to say, because it almost feels like this full moon could potentially be illuminating something that you've had a 6th sense has to shift, or it's going to start to move out. And I don't want you to be scared by this, but I want to offer this situation again where I'm feeling this strong energy for Pisces, that as Pisces puts a little bit of spit and polish on their own happiness, their own journey through life, their own sense of fulfillment for the sense of self, then I think there is going to be more fruit and more success is a word I want to use, more give and take in the other relationships in your life. Because Layla's sitting here talking about putting your intentions, meditating and saying what you want. And then there's the burden. And I feel like this is because somehow Pisces is boomeranging back to whoever their partner is, whatever they think their expectations of others are for them. I feel like, because when I go to Francesca and the Wasp in the final position, it's as if Pisces cannot visualize their own happiness. It's almost as if it feels so foggy right now and so elusive that there's a sense of sadness about it. And maybe that's what this full moon is feeling like, is that you're going to end up feeling a completion of something that you don't want to end. And I want to offer it this way, because I don't know if necessarily it has to end, because in the opportunity or the obstacle is Seraphina offering you a happy change to your family. And here's the High Priestess. And I think part of the challenge that I'm getting energetically, and what I think is so important in the year of 2022, is to be in relation to our deeper truth, to be in connection and into cooperation and in complementary energy with what really makes us happy versus what we may be settling for. This burden feels like it's something that has to do with wanting the situation to change, because the people won't. And I say that because here we have Teresa, other people, and the blossoming. And I don't know if we can really look to other people to change in order for us to be happy, as much as we have to look to what makes us happy and then implement the shift in our perception that invites in a new experience. Because if indeed this has to do with your work or your health, because it's sixth house, and if you think my employer always expects me to be this way, or, I've always been feeling this sense of depletion within my health, then I think that it's time for you to start to connect to a bigger picture of things. And let me offer this. Sometimes the bigger picture can't be clear either. So maybe it starts with a what if. What if things can change? What a difference a day makes. What if this full moon brings information to me in some way that illuminates? Or again, there's these nodal, this is so much fixed energy between Aquarius and Leo, having the sun and the moon in opposition, and then the nodes. Maybe there is really something going on here that you yourself, Pisces, have been stubborn. I know you're mutable, but that doesn't mean you can't be stubborn, and you didn't want it to shift. You wanted the situation to shift, and you've been digging your feet in the ground, and it's starting to piss you off. And I feel like in this moment, maybe your only job is to go back to basics. What did I want when I started this situation? Or what did I want when I started this job? Or what do I want from my health? I want to feel ease. I want to feel flow. I want to feel connection. Go broad, and start to connect to those ideas, because I think that will help you connect to a sense of self. Because when I look at this, I feel like a deep craving to be seen for Pisces. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be avatar. So there I'm going. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Aquarius. My little brain has felt a little off lately. And Michelle, did you mention that Neptune is creeping up on Jupiter? Yeah, I feel that a lot lately. I got to tell you. I feel a little watery. I feel like I want to eat really bad food all the time. I've been lying to myself. I've been eating plant-based chicken nuggets and organic French fries that I've been making myself. So this is the big, it's really not good for me. But I can feel all those little weird things about me wanting to be, I don't know, comfort food. The other night I was, that's 12th house for me, that conjunction. So it just made me very nostalgic. Really did. Okay, here we go. Aquarius, rising moon, sun, or stelliums. This is in your 7th house of partnerships. And, partnerships are not just intimate partnerships. It's balance within contractual situations. So let's see what Spirit has to say. What does this Leo full moon have to illuminate for you? Caressa says you're at the end of a cycle. New happiness awaits you. Merlina is saying you're confused because you don't have enough information. Aurora is saying stay the course. And Archangel Raphael is offering a healing. I'd like to shift that word healing to a balance and understanding. The more that I do this work and the more I walk through my own personal challenges, the more I realize those challenges are always there to empower me, to bring me more information, to squelch my fears rather than stoking them. But there's a part of me that has to be very brave in my willingness to look at how this disruption is serving me. Caressa is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card, Aquarius. Merlina is being joined by the forgiveness card. Aurora is being joined by the Queen. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the disruption. It's so funny how things come to me. Caressa is offering a rebirth for Aquarius. Well, Aquarius energy is offering us all a rebirth. But I want to offer it this way because I feel as if, of all the signs, Aquarius rules innovation, it rules things that we haven't experienced because they're futuristic. They're way out there somewhere in the sci-fi movie. And I feel like this is an opportunity for Aquarius to embrace the uniqueness of what they bring to partnership, to actually put an end to the idea that being submerged into a partnership that is too human, for lack of a better term, doesn't really serve anybody's happiness. Because when I look at Caressa and the birth and the rebirth card, this feels like the new happiness awaits your own expression. Here we are, Leo, right? Leo is all about my self-expression, my happiness, what is interesting to me. And then in the opportunity, the obstacle, we have the forgiveness card. For those of you that have been watching me for a while, this means reconciliation. It's where a challenging situation actually brings awareness to me. So I understand it. And instead of being victimized by it, I'm the victor of it. So this indecision that you could potentially be feeling is because at some point you have to wait for spirit to bring what you're looking for to you. This is in the angel's advice. Aurora is saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend into fear or into shrinking yourself small, because soon you will receive the bounty that you want. And you can't move it any faster if you want to. The human has been trained that if you work hard, you make things happen. But that work is really like being on a hamster wheel if you're not aligned energetically first to it. So this is where you really do become really the futuristic teacher, because you're teaching how to receive, and that reception is always preceded with a period of confusion, of not understanding, of having to wait for the baton to be passed. Because I started this saying that there is benefit in disruption, and Archangel Raphael is offering an illumination for Aquarius as you walk through this full moon in Leo. There certain amount of disruption brings an awareness, and this is somehow involving in how you're being perceived in partnerships. That's what I want to say. Somehow this feels like a karmic dynamic that's asking you, Aquarius, to define yourself in relationship versus how the herd sees you, how the stream sees you. And I feel as if this brings a new beginning. And if you think about, every culmination of a full moon is indeed a new beginning. So the seeds that were planted 6 months ago with the Aquarius new moon, and I'm not talking about the most recent, I'm sorry, the Leo new moon, not Aquarius. The Leo new moon that happened in August, this has been a part of this cycle. And this, to me, for Aquarius, feels very much about this idea of being able to observe what's been happening in the way of diplomacy, in the way of how people are working with you, how much they're allowing you to express yourself, and how much they're telling you you can express yourself, and then trying to maybe tame that a little bit, because I think there's going to be some sort of illumination that will lead to a change as we may change that. When I say change, you may start implementing a new, I don't even know. I feel like it's funny to say, because I just talked about Pisces being in the sixth house, but this does not feel like an intimate partnership. It feels like some sort of outside partnership, a work partnership, an agreement you've made with another person. And maybe this person is just too much. They could be too fear-based. That might be it. And that they're always like Debbie Downer, or looking at the, cup half empty. And you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to get where I want to go with this person, because they're not going to align to abundance. And I think that that's going to create an epiphany, which is actually going to make you as an Aquarius feel healed or feel balanced, and maybe even trusting your journey a little bit more on your own, going a little bit more on your own. Because let's just say that you as an Aquarius formed a partnership with maybe even somebody on the internet. You've been contemplating working with a group of people, or you've been doing a podcast, or blah, blah, blah. And I think that maybe there could be some revelation that's been revealed, and it isn't about villainizing the partnership. It's just about maybe you do better on your own. I'm just going to say. All right. So let's go on to our Capricorns. Whew. As I say that, I just kind of feel a little stressed. Capricorn, this is going to be in your eighth house. Lucy Rose, I think that is truly ultimately what karma is being able to have the discernment necessary to make the choice that is not the one that necessarily will be approved of by everyone, but the one that will actually move your soul's story forward. And usually that's a hard decision to make, because it does feel like we go against the grain and we feel a little bit lost and out on our own. But my experience has been is as we do that, we inadvertently kick in the laws of attraction that bring others that are on that same vibrational journey. And I think what we're looking at is trying to create a tipping point now, where the old structures of duty and of obligation become less influential. And this idea of being able to be more expressive in an authentic way is not threatening now. It is embraced and invited. And that's how we actually experience the soul incarnate. We haven't experienced it. The soul has not truly been able to express itself because it's gotten lost under the veil. All right, Capricorn, eighth house, illumination and transformation. And I would have to say that in the eighth house, it probably has a lot to do with other people's opinions, money, how they land on you, what you think they expect of you. Okay, here we go. Capricorn, our first angel is Athena. The second is Bridget. The third is Azure. And the final is Crystal. Athena is being joined by the High Priestess. Bridget is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Azure is being joined by the Truth. And Crystal is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. I almost feel like, as I check into Capricorn, that there's Capricorn's having its own personal revolution. And maybe it is, because Pluto's been transiting it since 2008. But when I look at Athena and the High Priestess, this wouldn't feel very Capricorn-y naturally, but because here we have all this intuitive energy with the High Priestess. But I think that Capricorn has been very much paying attention to their renovation. Because if you're watching information and content like this, then your Capricorn energy is not stuck in the material world in a way that doesn't allow for your evolution. So I think Athena is saying that, yes, continue to move towards the vision of what you really want and to lovingly assert yourself and to continue to ask yourself, am I stepping into the version of what I want? Because you're about to rebirth something. And I want to offer it this way because the United States is about to go through a very large transformation. And, we've been watching it creep up on us. And I say creep up on us, and it may feel like it's been jarring, but I think we're going to see, I'm kind of expecting a north, south, east, west America somehow. And I think Bridget is really asking Capricorn to look deeper during this full moon about this rebirth and to, no matter how much you think you fine-tooth combed your rebirth, I feel like give it another minute because there's still some remnants of maybe other people's opinions or what you think is viable or what you think is practical or where you've been, assessing the material world, because Azure is telling you your desired outcome will happen in the near future. And there's the truth card. And I feel like if you're really willing to dig deep to the truth, now we get to transform the leadership. We get to transform the Saturnian energy from something that's stoic and dutiful and depressing and isolating because it's all about somebody else to it being about me. And when it's about me, then I truly am standing in much more leadership for others as they can, because there's a weird feeling I got to tell you about. I'm not doing world predictions, but right now I feel like I'm getting a world prediction. There's going to be some interesting information, let's put it that way, and implementation of information that comes to the forefront. And I think this may push Capricorn into finding more material, earthbound, how do I want to, more anchored in their spirituality, in their inner knowing. This really feels almost as if the earth plane itself becomes so absurd and so many weird things come out that it kicks you into a defining moment. So this transformation of the 8th house could have a lot to do with how you perceive other people's money or where you've been investing your money. I think something's going to happen with the banking industry when we look at this Pluto, Mars, and Venus conjunction pretty soon. I think we're going to find money's been spent or I don't know what's going on, but it's going to be weird and funky. So Capricorn, really look deeper into this rebirth, meaning take a second shot. Am I really going into my deeper truth? And am I allowing myself my deeper truth? Or is there a little bit of me that is still sitting in unsuredness? Because Crystal's asking you to have faith and hope there's more on the horizon. So I want to offer this too, because throughout history, when there have been big disruptions, the Civil War, the Revolutionary War in these two countries, they were devastating times. There was always the polarizing opinions of the group. The people who wanted to stay with the old structure and the people that wanted the new structure. We're going through this again. And this time I feel like the new structure is really to truthfully implement the concepts that we started this country on and this earth plane. So I'm asking Capricorn during this full moon, if there's a closure of some kind, if there's something that comes to an ending, to give birth to that new idea, because so much of what you're doing right now is learning how and experiencing how your thoughts do become things. And now you're learning how to harness them and learning about the give and take, meaning I put the intention out there. I examine my belief about it, and then I allow spirit to bring me confirmation of that. It's a baton pass. I don't think, Brandon, I don't know if we come here for it to get calm. I think we actually come here for this roller coaster ride a little bit. They're just, the more that I do this work, the more I realize there's so much wisdom from disruption, from what we call the dark side of life. It offers us so much opportunity in the choices that we make and the perceptions that we foster. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm watching a movie of the world right now. So I'm a little frightened, but I know there's going to be some great third act reconciliation. I know, we all signed up for it. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. Okay, Sagittarius, this is going to be in your 9th house, Leo? Yeah, okay. My little cheat sheet here. Thank you, Jenny B. I really feel like I've run a little bit amok when it comes to the astrology. I have Uranus in Leo, and I feel like I'm some sort of crusader for the light side of the planets. It feels like so much is, I don't want to throw away the bones of astrology, but I do think it's time to allow everything to evolve. And I think it's super important to focus as much on the light side of what the planets have to offer as it is the dark side. Because while Pluto is a very challenging planet, I think Pluto of all the planets offers us the most reward. You just got to have that cold ass heart to be you instead of absorbed into somebody else's agenda, which is why it rules Scorpio. But we're not on that just yet. We're on Sagittarius. So Archangel Raphael is in the foundational position. Merlina is in the opportunity or the obstacle. Bridget is in the angel's advice. And Bethany is in the final position. As I every week encourage you all to put yourselves first, it is to me the most selfless act, because when you put yourself first and you really dig deep as to what your motivations are, this isn't like I want to be the first in line so I can get into Mervyn's and get the sale thing. This is about a deeper truth that is really an invitation to others. Because think about it. If you're driving down the street and you're happy about your life and what the energies you're spending and the intention you have, then you're not going to be road raging. You're not going to see the dark side as much. It may be right there in front of your face, but you won't notice it. And as you don't notice it, then you will inadvertently start focusing in on the light, which will then bring more light and more light and more light. And then people will be like, why are you in the light all the time? And you're like, because that's all I see. Okay, Sagittarius, Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Water Fairy. Merlin is being joined by the Fear card. Bridget's being joined by Merlin. And Bethany is being joined by the Truth card. Okay, so there's some huge epiphany coming for our Sagittariuses. And I think this is an inside job. I think when I look at the Water Fairy, I see the 28, right? So the 28 reduces down to a 1. I feel like Archangel Raphael is offering an epiphany, a physical, literally like a, oh my God moment. Oh, an aha moment, as Oprah would call it, about an emotional habit. We don't realize that in addition to our physical habits, we have emotional habits. And those emotional habits lead our perception into something, because Merlina is saying you're confused and indecisive because there's something creeping up on you. There's a fear creeping up on you. Last Sunday, you guys, was really a terrible, terrible day. After the show, I gave Lucky one of those Baraxo baths because he still had the challenge on his skin. And somehow he licked it. Okay. I don't know how. I was anxious. I was going too fast. I was in fear. And later that evening, he threw up, and it was very, very scary. But I have to tell you, in that moment, I have spent 9.5 years fearful that dog is going to die on me and I'm going to be miserable and cry my eyeballs out and never be able to get out of my bed. I don't feel that way anymore. I'm actually have had an epiphany of an emotional habit that I have, that whenever I'm happy or I feel loved, something bad happens or the love gets snatched from me. it's time to face this fear and rise above it, because Merlin is offering you magic if you look deeper into the situation. So what happened? There's poor Lucky in bed crying. I'm like, what is he having a dream? Then he gets up and he starts throwing up, and the throw up, like, it was one session, but it was long enough to freak me out. And the whole time I could hear my guides saying, just be patient, just be patient. And they gave me this picture of what was happening. And I had to dig deep into, am I really allowed to be happy? Because the dog was teaching me how to realize and to accept love and not to stand in fear of it. Because that was the deeper truth, Sagittarius, that to truly take care of yourself is to go to the deeper truth, that every single thing that happens to you that's good, there might be a little fear that it'll be snatched away, because that's how the human is raised. No good deed goes unpunished. Oh, you're happy, bad things happen in threes. Look for it, look for it. We're so trained. So I feel like if something kind of freaky or weird, or how can I say this? If something comes up, you've got a belief of some kind. You've got, Sagittarius, an emotional habit that I think you're getting an opportunity to have an epiphany about. And as you have that epiphany, the fear no longer grips you, and you can then move past it and understand and be in the present and enjoy things more. And I want to say this too, because after that Monday, because Monday was a terrible day, I literally wanted to sleep the whole day. I was in fear. I was so fearful, having to watch the process of, what did I need to run to the emergency? And my guides were there with me. But they were my voice being, don't freak out, don't freak out. Am I being stupid? I don't know. Blah, 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 back and forth. But now this past week, it's as if Lucky completely got better. Almost every single one of, if not all of his things we've got a little ear issue that we're still dealing with. But I could see how my fear stretched this thing out for months. And my fear popped. It started to actually heal. So that's what I think is going on for Sagittarius. Where's your emotional habit that doesn't serve you, that doesn't allow the inner child to have fun, that is inadvertently getting in your way? And when you realize that, then rather than trying to exterminate it, it's just a piece of information. Thoughts are things, Lucy Rose. They're absolutely things, and that's where the real revolution will come. On the channel, I think I'll just mention that, since you said thoughts are things. I used to do a blog called Word Vibration of the Week before I was on Lotta's channel. And I'm going to bring it back, I think, in video form during the week, because I think it's so important to see that our words actually create a vibration, and the words we use when we communicate send more than just a verbal message. And I think that that's part of how we can start manifesting a little bit. It's almost like when people say, oh, I have to go to the store, I have to clean my house. You change that have to a get to, and it completely changes the vibration of the sentence. I get to go to the store. I get to clean my house. Oh, that sounds like fun. So this is what I want to bring, because I think as a tribe, if 28 people that are in this room today go into this next week paying attention to their verbiage, and every time they say, I should do this, I have to do that, I need to do this, there's a draggy foot, there's that's attached to it. So when we shift all those to get tos, the idea moves quicker, the perception of the situation and how we walk through it is lighter. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm not telling you I love these lessons or these reminders of who I really am, but that's where we're headed. And I don't want to fight the storm. I don't want to walk up the headwind. I want the wind to my back. Okay, here we go. On to our Scorpio, rising moon, sun, and stellium. Scorpio, this Leo energy is happening in your 10th house. Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers. Francesca is in the opportunity or the obstacles. Xana is in the angel's advice, and Archangel Gabriel is in the final position. So here we are. We're talking to Scorpio. We know the nodes are creeping up. I've got a few planets in Scorpio. So it'll be interesting to see as it goes. But I really don't think that this South Node traversing Scorpio has to be a point of erosion, as much as I feel like it's a point of, the South Node in past lives rules what we're used to, what we're, so if indeed somehow we're used to depending on somebody else, for our money, for our sex. Not that we all want to have sex alone, but you get what I mean. If it's out of balance and we're finding our value through sex, wherever Scorpio is giving up its power to the perception of another, I think is going to shift dramatically over this next 18 months. And I think that this full moon in Leo has an opportunity for you to see how you might be participating in your own situation. Adriana is being joined by the Fear card. Francesca is being joined by the Raven. Xana is being joined by the Queen. And Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Wealth card. So as I say this and I think about the idea of the 10th house, it's such a public house. It's a house where everybody sees what you're doing and everybody gets to chime in because, it's like being, it's like you're being published on the internet kind of, and everyone gets to make a comment. So I want to offer this because I think in some way, when I look at this Leo full moon, I feel as if Scorpio may be, the phrase self-deprecating comes to mind. Because when I see Adriana saying that she's leading Scorpio to their dreams and desires, and then I have the Fear card. And I almost wonder if your dreams and desires also trigger a fear of separation of others, some sort of separation of being, if you think about the 10th house being such a public house, it can also be very isolating when people have a certain perception of you. So I think there may be also potentially a fear of, I don't want to say success, but of responsibility. Everybody who, even me being on the internet right now, the potential, I don't know how many people could watch this for how many years coming. So for Scorpio, I feel like Adriana is trying to ask you to squelch your fears, to realize that it's time in some respects to allow for this. The Raven right here feels very Scorpionic to me. It's time to go down. You've picked everything off the bones, and now it's time to really start to visualize what you want because you're being protected. And I want to offer it this way. It's kind of, I spoke that Sagittarius has an emotional habit. Well, Scorpio may have a bit of an emotional habit as well. And that habit may be, some sort of key words that have been attached to you, because I think this is about reception. And I don't think it's about reception from other people, but knowing that spirit is protecting you as you venture somewhere this Leo full moon is bringing up something in a public way. So let's say this, Scorpio. What if it brings up information for you that pisses you off? Or it brings up, because I really think hidden secrets are coming up. So something is coming up. And what if that is actually going to empower you rather than to disempower you? Because in the final position, I have the Harmonious Wealth card, and I have Archangel Gabriel talking about communication. And here we have this in direct relation to being led through a fear bubble. So I want to offer it this way. If for some reason Scorpio is feeling a push-pull between wanting to stand up in that 10th house energy and be seen, and then at the same time feeling sort of I don't know, I want to kind of be Scorpio and go back and shut the door in my bedroom and kind of hide in the dark is the way I want to put it. And I feel like maybe you can do both. And maybe that's what Adriana is telling you. Maybe somehow this is too black and white for you. Let me pull a clarification card because I want to know what they mean in the 10th house. Like, why is this public? Is this what is going on? I just pulled the Frog, the releasing of emotional baggage. All right, here I'm going to go. I'm going to go a little bit off here and take this into a different direction a little bit. because I'm trying to make this about personal, but I think maybe we could be talking about what we hear, what's coming out, some information that's being exposed. Pardon me while I dribble on myself. When I look at the frog is feeling like it's really about this sort of, I almost feel like I've come to an epiphany. I've come to a place where maybe, like I said earlier, the fear is so great, it pops. All right, here's the cray cray. I think this is something to do with children. It has to do with the vaccination. I think information is going to come out, and I don't know if Scorpio, I think you may respond to the information. I think you may get really mad. You know, I don't quite know how to express myself without sounding opinionated, but I'm going to do it anyway. When I heard that Pfizer is trying to get the vaccination approved for children under the age of 5, I almost had a meltdown. I'm like, these kids don't even have an immune system yet. Leave them alone. And I don't know if other people agree or don't agree, but I think this is part of what's going on here. The Leo is running about children to me. There's something that feels oppressive to me about this. There's something that feels like it illuminates some sort of oppression, or it's illuminating some sort of business, that COVID's become a business now, like the business of cancer. Pardon me. And I just feel like it's going to pop something for Scorpio, meaning like you're just going to either be like, if you have kids, you may be like, okay, that's it. I'm not doing this. Something's going to pop. And I feel like you may be part of a group of people who pop off individually. I don't mean pop off like I'm going to go crazy and be a Karen on a plane. I mean like claiming yourself back and being like, no more. I'm not following this fear path anymore. And doing so, I think that's going to be kind of, again, a divine mission of saying no to fear and trusting a bigger picture. So here we go. There's a lot coming up. Hi, Miriam. Good to see you. I'm so glad you could be here. Post it up. Good to see you. You know, I think that this time, I've heard a lot of astrologers talking about the wonderful Mars and Venus coming together. You know, they'll be together on Valentine's Day. And that's all well and fine and great and everything. But I have some real trepidation, to be honest with you, because of Capricorn. It's in Capricorn, and it's heading towards Pluto. And so I just feel like there's going to be some information that's going to come out about money and how money's been used or money is being used that may not be balanced. And I think people are just going to be like, what? Or like if there's some sort of taxes imposed or some sort of, I don't know. I feel like there's more oppression before this lifts. And this Leo full moon is exasperating our lack of freedoms to enjoy ourselves. So thank you, Posted Up. I was feeling very Leo energy. So my hair's big, my shirt's all fiery. All right, let's go on to our Libras. Oh my goodness, I said it without singing. So if Lucy Rose, if your natal Uranus is in Scorpio, it must be making an opposition to transiting Uranus at some point. So this is really, I don't want to fight Uranus anymore. I don't want to look at it as it's trying to blow up my life as much as I feel like it's trying to blow up my illusions and anywhere I'm holding myself small so I can then start to open up to the bigness of what we are. I think humans are afraid of how big and how powerful they really are. Well, thank you, Welsh. I appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Let's go on to our Libras. This Leo is moon is in your 11th house. So we have Rochelle in the foundational position. We have Ariel in the opportunity or the obstacle. We have Athena in the angel's advice. And we have Merlina. I should have known that without even thinking. Anyway. Whoop. Libra, we have the restriction card joining Rochelle. We have Ariel being joined by the Joy card. We have Athena being joined by the dog. And then we have Merlina being joined by the movement card. Okay, so as I look at this, I feel as if when I look at Rochelle, we talk about Libra is a sign of cooperation. It's a social sign. Leo is a social house. It's also a house of dreams and hopes and wishes. And when I think about Libra, and I'm being a Libra sun myself, oftentimes our happiness is inadvertently connected to others. I'm happy if the group is happy, or I'm happy if this happens. And again, while it sounds a little bit redundant and a little bit myopic, I feel again, the shadow side of Libra is resentment. There's resentment there. There's passive aggressive energy. I'm going to act cooperative and be snarky. And I know because I live that in my head sometimes. But I want to offer this because one of the things that I have realized, and I think you guys know now that I've moved over here, that I wanted to villainize other people sometimes because of my own fears of my own creation. And I sit here every week and I tell you about these things, but I'm not telling you. I'm just the messenger. I'm doing my best as a human to implement them. And so I feel like sometimes I get angry, or I start to go down a road of anger or of being hurt by another person when they really didn't do anything to me. It was my own fear or my own trepidation or my own holding myself small and trying to tuck underneath somebody else. And they didn't jump up and down and celebrate me. And then I want to get upset about it. This is where I'm kind of going. All right, Libra, bear with me a minute. Because Rochelle says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you. And I think that the prosperity is always harmonious wealth, to feel not just money happy, but self-fulfilled, to feel purposeful, to feel celebrated, and to feel loved. And there's the restriction card. And I think this is about Libra really digging deep and actually sitting in a pause during this full moon and allow for this illumination. What really does bring you joy? What really does? Where is your connection to spirit? How do you feel joy? Because, again, I don't know that the human knows how to feel it. I don't even know that they know how to describe it. I coach people, and it's just so amazing to me to see how they avoid the question. I can ask them what they're mad about, and they can tell me in like 5 seconds flat with a million different words. You ask someone to describe what makes them happy, and they 9 times out of 10 defer to something else. They go around, they scoot, they don't know. So I feel like this is a super important time to connect with spirit. And I want to offer this for Libras. Thank you, Spirit, for helping me to allow all of my happiness in, to receive it as much as I want it, because this is where I'm going with this. In the angel's advice, it's time to lovingly assert yourself and be loyal to yourself in the respect of starting to focus in on your joy. And if you don't know what that is, then work in concert, in connection, in tandem with spirit, because there's movement coming. And it's funny because Merlina represents confusion and indecision. And then there's the movement card. But then I look at this wizard, right? It's all about balance. We can see the yin and the yang. We can see the two dolphins. I really think that Merlina is confused because she doesn't know that the magic is just like Dorothy inside of herself. She's always had the power. So I want to offer for my Libras, this 11th house is about your hopes and dreams. It's about what you want for yourself, which you then can bring back to the network that the 11th house represents. And I feel as if The only confusion that will really come about will be when you contemplate the viability of your dreams. Because there is no, when you take all of that out, when you take out, oh, is it viable? Isn't it viable? How will it happen? Won't it happen? Da, 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 da. You remove all the cogs in the wheel, and then you allow the universe to bring magic. And it does that. It really does that. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. Libra's an interesting sign because it represents, but if you think about it, and diplomacy, I believe that's what Libra is striving for. I don't think that they've conquered it in any way, because why? I'm a Libra sun, and I have Mars right next to my Libra, and I've had people tell me, I'm combative and argumentative and this and that, and that can be true. I'm not saying it's not true, but I don't live there. I'm not like, that's not where I start. Where I start is with my Aries rising saying, tell me your truth. I honor your truth. You feed me BS, I can feel it. I got Mercury in Scorpio right next to Neptune. I can feel it. I'm like an emotional detective. So yeah, I might seem a little harsh, but you know what? If you're authentic, then that doesn't rub up against me. So I think that's Libra needs to learn how to be a little bit more diplomatic. And diplomatic is creating balance between the me and the we. Okay. All right. On to our Virgos. This is going to be your 12th house. Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. There is Rosetta, Leo, and the children. There's Yvonne, vulnerability, and then there's Ray. All right, Virgo, Azure is being joined by the Hawk. Rosetta is being joined by the Letting Go card. Yvonne's being joined by the Focus card, and Ray is being joined by the Queen. Okay, so I think that this is really important because Leo rules fun and Virgo rules work, and rarely are the two combined in the human experience until now. That's what all this is about. So I want to offer this because I believe that the Virgo energy is one of a journey. It's one of a journey of deciphering between, what is truly practical and what is, perfection, and what is, the difference between the details that actually move the story forward and the details that get you caught into a loop of never, ever letting yourself move forward. Because I believe when Azure is saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future, have patience and faith. I think this is for Virgo in the sign of Leo as we look at the Hawk, asking you to rise above the situation and pay attention to your own thought process and how much time do you give yourself for your own personal pleasure and enjoyment. And I want to offer it this way because I don't care if you like to watch movies, do the crossword puzzle, take a nap, take a walk. I'm not sure cleaning your house is really fun, but if you think that's fun, we'll let that go too. Because here I feel like Spirit is saying it's time to have some fun, Virgo. It's time to let it go and act like a child, to be more vulnerable and aware of your focus. Because a lot of times, inadvertently, the perfectionist on the lower side, the dependable Virgo will superimpose their obligation onto a situation. It may not even be the other party, because I think this is a time for you to receive like the Queen. I think this is a receptive energy. This is a fertile energy. And then there's the Ray connection to the power source here. So I want to offer it this way. With Leo being your 12th house, it's the house that's behind you. It's what you can't see. So you can't see your hobbies. You can't see your fun. You can't see your kids. I mean, this is kind of extreme, but also the 12th house rules past lives. So what if part of the journey now is to bring more frivolity, more fun, more pleasure, more charm, more joy to your life, because historically you have not done that. Now, I know the nodes aren't really there, and we're not looking at your personal chart. We're just looking at the 12th house, the house of isolation, the house where you work alone, the house where you work in a lab, or, you work by yourself. So I feel like this is about Virgo really looking at how you enjoy things, whatever that is, being vulnerable to that joy, being vulnerable to the idea of not even working. Like I remember when I first started working for myself, I had so many, I felt like I was having past life flashbacks of always having to get up super early because I had to tend to the fields, or I had to do this. And in this lifetime, I didn't have to make that choice. So was I going to get up because everybody in the world gets up at 7:00 in the morning and starts work? No, I didn't want to get up till 8:30. And then I wanted to walk my dog. Then I wanted to get a cup of coffee. So I didn't start my day till 11:00. I still don't start my day till 11:00. But I want you to start to rewrite things, Virgo, for you, however you like it. All right, let's go on to Leo. This is in your first house of self. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Archangel Gabriel. The third is Bridget. And the final is Opal. Merlina is being joined by the Hawk. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Letting Go card. Bridget's being joined by the Trust card. And Opal's being joined by the Raven. This is interesting to me because, we talk about a full moon being the completion of a cycle. And we talk about the idea of, this being a Leo full moon puts us in the first house of self. And when I look at this, it's very interesting to me because it almost feels as if a fog has lifted in some respects. I feel like Merlina has been where Leo's been sitting, a little bit like trying to find their happiness and not knowing quite how to do it or where to go. And I feel as if there's a part of you that's starting to fly above the situation of confusion, because here we have Archangel Gabriel talking about communications and insecurity, but I actually think this is more like Gemini energy. I feel like she's talking about our everyday lives. And I feel like, as a Leo and having this be in your first house, the idea of expressing yourself is super important, however that plays out. Not everybody who's a Leo wants to be an actor. But I do think that there's a certain amount of that Leo, the fun, the idea of all the zodiac signs. It's the middle of summer. It's where we feel the most playful and the most joyous, and where we really give ourselves permission to enjoy the fruits of the earthly plane. So I feel like your opportunity here in some ways is for you to rebuild yourself, to move away from fear, the fear of whatever you're doing in your everyday life, and to start to contemplate what it would be like for you to actually live the life that you want to live. In the Angel's Advice, we have Bridget, which is to me, not so much of a cautionary card as much as it's really asking me to dig very deep into my intention and what I want. And there's the Truth card. No, I'm sorry, the Trust card. When I started this work, they really only called it psychics. And I don't think I'm a psychic at all. I think I tap into a momentum. I think I'm more of a spiritual teacher because I understand more the laws of the universe. So I pick and I choose and I braid it all together for Teri Talk and how it works for me. And I feel like that's so much of what is going on with Leo right now, is to start to think of what is going to be most authentic to you and what you want and how you want to experience your everyday world. And even if you don't know how that looks right now, your ability to muse on how it would feel. Because when I went to Opal, I wasn't, Opal will talk about your children being safe on heaven and earth, but it didn't feel like this is really about children. It felt like the inner child. Leo's literally the inner child. And here's the magic of the Raven. It's time to start to allow for this opening up of possibilities of what if the world is actually moving. I did not realize, guys, you guys know I'm old. I'm 62 years old. So when I started doing this work, there was no freaking internet. There was no, there was the Encyclopedia Britannica. All right. So I had no idea that at some point in my life, I would be able to sit on Sunday mornings and talk to people around the world on a computer. So there's a part of me that wants to say right now to my Leos, this first house full moon is illuminating something about how you're holding yourself back. And it may be because you think you need to take action, but maybe, again, we've got a baton pass going on where your intention and your continued focus on that intention and speaking it to the universe. And I want to go in and I want to broaden it, saying something to the effect of thank you to the universe for allowing me to accept and receive my happiness in all its colors and fashions. So you don't have to go in and try to figure out what will make you happy. The universe can present you with opportunities you may not have experienced, and then you'll have a new thing to add to your suite of happiness. Because I really think that this is about the magic of thought. I see the 11 in the hawk. I see the 47, which reduces down to an 11. Again, my thought process. I see the raven, which is a 10, which reduces down to a 1. And I see Archangel Gabriel talking about communication and how I'm talking to myself. When I was my last job, I hated it. I freaking hated it. And I hated working with this little girl. She was so mean and so bossy and pushy and just, she was terrible. But she was a divine disruptor. Her nasty, snarky attitude kept me focused on getting out of that job. And what did I want to do? I was 50 something years old. I didn't want to go back and find another job. I wanted my job, this job. So every day when I drove home at lunch to walk Lucky, I would say, pretty soon I'm going to get to walk you whenever I want. I'm going to get to do whatever I want. I wasn't even talking about work, but I was declaring something with so much passion. That's where my Mars comes in, that within 2 years of having Lucky, I started my own work. And I didn't even know I was going to do that. I had no plan. But Uranus stepped in, blew something up. I went mad, and then I got brave. Leo, get brave. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. All right, Cancer. Leo is going to be your second house. I should be able to do these things without my cheat sheets anymore. I just said should. Did you hear that? I get to do these without my cheat sheets anymore. Soon. Okay, here we go. Cancer, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. What does this Leo full moon have to offer you in the second house of self-worth? Aurora says you're flying high right now. Patience is asking you to observe the situation. Sonia is saying you're being watched over. And Oceana, that would be your angel for Cancer, I'd have to say. So many things about this seem Cancer-like to me. The turtle, the sea turtle is like the mother of the ocean. Ooh. Okay, I say that because the sea turtle is right there in the bottom of the, I feel like it's anchoring in the whole picture. But okay, here we go. Aurora for Cancer is being joined by the water fairy. Patience is being joined by the wind fairy. Sonia is being joined by the raven. And Oceana's being joined by the love card. Okay, all of this feels like it's a fight between your head and your heart. I don't know why I want to say it this way, but when I look at it, Aurora's saying you're flying high right now, don't descend. And then there's the water fairy. And I want to offer it this way because I feel like this is all about your intuitive body. This is about starting to really claim the space that the fourth house of Cancer naturally sits at the very base, and it holds up the whole zodiac like this, right? And I want to take it that it rules the mother energy, the maternal energy, because I feel as if when I look at the water fairy and the 28, I'm going back to this idea of my emotional body and focusing in on the emotions I want to feel, not some of the anger, because here we have the wind fairy at the 29. Okay. And there's the patience card. The 29 reduces down to an 11, and spirit is asking you to watch your thoughts. Observe your thoughts. Observe that they are things that are actually creating your experience, because you're being offered. I think this full moon is offering an illumination and epiphany to Cancer that you may actually be right about a situation, but your focus and and I'm going to say this lovingly, feeling a little bit victimized by it or hurt by it or less than by it isn't serving you anymore, because now it's time to go back and claim yourself. Look at, there's Oceana. It's all about you swimming up through your emotions to reach your destiny. And there's the love card. And interestingly enough, there's the 9. It's time to choose love, and to choose love in this way. It's like Cancer is so it's so maternal in some ways that it doesn't know how to, it kind of reminds me of Pisces in the sense of it loves in reference to something else. And so, in this particular case, we could say it loves in reference to its maternal side. It loves in reference to family, home, hearth, blah, blah, blah. I feel as if sometimes that focus is a little bit too intense on the other, and now it needs to be on me. So what you are flying high right now, how you are going to end up feeling and inspiring others is recognizing some of your emotional habits. And as you observe your emotional habits, you can actually make and choose a new line of thought that will then produce magic for you. Because I feel as if this self-love that comes as a result of this lets others love you more effortlessly. Sometimes when people love very strongly, they're very demonstrative in their love. So they buy things and they do a lot of calling and a lot of moving forward that direction. There's a weird underbelly of energy that feels as if if it's not constantly showing that love, the love will evaporate. And I think sometimes that gets challenging on the other side of the fence in receiving it. So as you're more aware that you are completely 100% deserving of love and start focusing in on yourself, then I think that you will feel love from others coming more powerfully, is the word I want to use, powerfully, to really feel it. And that's in some ways the challenge of representing the maternal energy, is it's so much about the giving out that I don't know how to receive, and yet I crave to receive. So let's focus on that this week. Receiving love. And again, I really want to offer that mantra and that declaration and that intention to the universe. Thank you, universe, for encouraging me, supporting me, and guiding me into receiving all that makes me happy, all that makes me feel fulfilled. All right, let's go on to our Tauruses. No, Gemini. Don't want to forget our Geminis. Oh, all right, here we go. Gemini, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Whoop. All right. Our first angel is Chantal. Ooh. The second is Oceana. The third is Omega. And the final is Daniel. Well. Oh, well. Romance around Valentine's Day for the Geminis. Woohoo! All right. Let's see. Oops. Chantal is being joined by the novice. Oceana is being joined by the king. Omega is being joined by the restriction card. And Daniel's being joined by the owl. Okay, so interesting. Chantal is the angel of romance. She talks about the resurgence of love or a newcomer coming in. And here's the novice. This is new. So I want to offer it this way because I'm going to go there. I'm going there, Gemini. Even if you're single, small wildflowers. Did I say that out loud? I feel like whether you know it or not, love is in the air. Love is in the air for the Gemini. And, I want to offer this too, because if you're not open to love, people could just be flirting with you. It could just be like somebody compliments you and says, "Oh, you look so pretty today." This is going to make you feel fluffy, because I think that there's an opportunity for Gemini to have a resurgence in relationship. And I say that because I believe that there's the king and there's Oceana asking me to swim through my emotions up towards my destiny. And I actually am thinking of one of my clients who's a Gemini, and I've been telling her for months now that the object of her affection will be returning. And if I didn't know better, I'd say that he's returning post haste. But for most of you, I want to say that this is fair and just for you to trust emotionally that whatever downtime, whatever restriction has been in your love life, in your love body, in your heart body, this is Leo, full moon represents romance, represents, the heart and being vulnerable to it, because I think there is victory to be had. And I think victory comes through a bit of a pause. I have felt this idea that it isn't about this consistent moving forward in love that makes us feel safe, but sometimes the challenge is in love. And it's not about fighting with one another, but sort of being able to trust that in the beginning, when I have identified that I'm attracted to you or I find you attractive, that I'm not going to lose you or you're not going to disappear. Again, the human is predisposed that once they feel happy, they start to fear that happiness or the loss of it. Because I think there's a real opportunity for Gemini to start to really decipher the owl, wisdom and deception, about love and about their story in love. So even if you don't want to be in a relationship with anybody, allowing yourself to receive love from a bunch of different areas through companionship, through communion of other people. It doesn't always have to be the intimate love we think of when we're in our younger years. And I wish the guy with the motorcycle would go away because he's just sitting there. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but okay. So that's for my Geminis. I think that there's the potential of love in the air. I think there's the potential of feeling a little frisky. I think that for those of you that are in the heightened years of hormonal activity and ready to move that story forward, that somebody's coming back around. I feel as if the Venus moving forward and Mars, Venus and Mars moving forward in Capricorn, I think is bringing this back around for you. And I think it's giving you an opportunity to revisit a situation. And I hope that the history that you have in love does not disrupt the opportunity that could potentially be coming up. That's what I'm saying. And again, I want to offer it this way because I see Shelley say pause for me for 10 years. For me, I think it's been 200 years, but I don't know that it has to be an actual like human being coming in as much as feeling that energy of vitality again, of being viable. I recently watched the Exotic Marigold Hotel. It's a movie from a few years back, and it's literally about aging process and this group of people who go to this hotel in India. to experience a new chapter in their lives. And this kind of feels like it to me a little bit, because it was a revitalization of all of them. There was a young person, each one of those people, that was still very, very much wanting to have life. And I love that movie too, Shelley. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses. And then we'll do our Aries, and we're on. Oh, I'm so sorry, Small Wildflowers. I thought I had it on vibrate. I'm going to a little get together this afternoon. Not a Super Bowl party per se, but there's some ladies and I that like to play this game called Sequence. So people are starting to prepare. I have to go order some tacos. All right. I want to say this, Welsh Roses, it's not necessarily, it could be loving energy for others, but I also feel like it's sort of this feeling of freshness, this feeling that the potential with Gemini could be feeling a new zest for life, feeling a little more something to look forward to. There was I can't remember the name of the actress, but one of the characters it starts off with Evelyn is her name in the movie, and she's lost her husband. She's been married forever and a day. And then when she goes to India, she finds purposeful work. And in that purposeful work, it lifted her spirit. It made her feel more connected to even those that were outside of her generation. So yeah, very revitalizing. That's the way I'd like to put it. Okay. All right, here we go. Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Rochelle. The third is Ariel. And the final is Ray. So this Leo full moon is going to be in your fourth house. Did I say it was the third house for Gemini? I don't think I even brought that up. All right, here we go. One of the things about Evelyn in the movie was that she was a bit brave. I don't think she knew how brave she was. So when opportunity presented itself, because there was another character, and I can't quite remember, she was very fear-based. So she did not take advantage of the opportunities at this. So there, I don't know if maybe you'd enjoy the movie, but I think there's a part of us that has to be willing to participate in our own happiness through our perception, and then being willing to take action when spirit guides us a certain way. All right. Bridget's being joined, Taurus, by the partnership card. Rochelle is being joined by the death card. Ariel's being joined by the deer. And Ray is being joined by the mystery card. So here we have the North Node traversing Taurus. It's still at the late degrees. We said it's making a square to this new moon. I'm sorry, full moon. I keep saying new moon. And what I think this is really doing is for Taurus, looking into the partnership. Now, I really want to say this is going to sound a little kookalicious, but I think now we're talking about the partnership with yourself. I think looking deeper into your own wants, your own desires, and how, if you think about the axis of Scorpio and Taurus, Scorpio being about other people's money, about, the commingling with others, whereas the second house is about my skills. It's about how I present my talents. So I really feel like this is about getting into partnership with you, digging deeper, because it's time for this Uranian transformation. Uranus has been offering you this transformation as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart. And I want to offer it because I do not understand why it's dinging like this. I have put this on mute, so I apologize for all the dinging. Dang it. So anyway, this is where I'm going, Taurus, because I think that this is about the gentleness that you purport to yourself as you connect with spirit in a way that stretches your talents out, that helps you to be brave when you feel trepidation. Because I think this is something, as I watch Venus, your ruling planet, going up through Capricorn, meeting up with Pluto soon, having this connection with Mars. So we can talk about man and woman, but we can also talk about being brave enough to take my talents and take action on them. Because I feel again, as if Taurus, there's something being offered you in the way of making a choice. And I think that choice is to see how powerful a creator you are when you actually connect with your heart and with your words, your voice. I'm so sorry about this. I don't know why I can't get it to stop dinging. So please forgive me. And I don't know how to tell these people to stop. So I'm just going to have to be quick. So Bridget is saying to Taurus that this Leo full moon has an opportunity to illuminate the partnership you have with yourself, about how much you give yourself an opportunity to really feel the joy, feel the safety of your own creation within the home you create for yourself, the home and the mind. I don't want to put this out to other people. I want to put this in that if Taurus feels this sense of purposefulness, this sense of connection with themselves, that this is that tense conversation that the nodes are asking of you, that this moon is asking. Are you honoring the self? And as you honor the self, are you being gentle with the self? Or are you expecting after, having an epiphany that you should just be able to hit the ground running and go? Because I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think it's the epiphany, then it's settling into the epiphany through gentleness and diplomacy, and then staying very connected to spirit as I continue to make choices that ask me, am I connecting to myself? I feel success is here for you. I feel that there is the potential that Rahu, the North Node, and Uranus can bring very unexpected success, but part of it is your willingness to take your fixed energy and rather than look at what you've been plowing through, what the bull has been walking through, which could be what Small's emoji was just saying, and rather saying, now I'm going to have that same sort of tenacity to trust that there's a bigger picture going on here. And the bigger picture is the more alignment I come into myself, the more bounty comes to me, the more I feel that bounty, the more I trust myself, and then the momentum shifts. All right, let's go on to Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And for those of you that have to leave and go on to your Super Bowl, have a great Super Bowl Sunday. I hope to see you next week. I'm going to be starting a detox tomorrow on Valentine's Day to love myself. All right, here we go, Aries. Leo is your fifth house of romance. Our first angel is Omega. The second is Maya. The third is Sonia. And the final is Akasha. Omega is being joined by the Goblin. Maya's being joined by the High Priestess. Sonia's being joined by the Love card. And Akasha's being joined by the Eagle. This is so interesting. I'm an Aries rising, right? And I got to tell you, I have, I've not said anything point blank, but I think I've inferred that somebody might have dinged my ego a little bit. And so it propelled me to move over here and start Sunday mornings here. And I got to tell you, I'm actually totally resonating as an Aries rising with the victory over my own ego. My willingness to look at where my ego is actually pissing me off. And maybe not the other person, maybe like minutely participating. But the truth of the matter is most of it's me. And I don't mind owning this now because now I know I'm edging God out and I don't want to edge God out. So here I go. Now my Aries, I'm learning about the truth of my real vision, the deeper truth of who I am, and how important that is to continue to be on this learning student, student, teacher, student, teacher, student, teacher, because I'm constantly having to look deeper and deeper into my motivations, because Spirit is charging Aries now not to be always the warrior, not to be looked at as the recluse that runs around the zodiac lobbing heads off in anger, but rather love. The deepest truth of Aries is that Aries is courageous and pioneering, and Aries loves tremendously and wants that love back in a way that's authentic and real. So now, here we go, Aries. We're starting to really connect with the idea of the interior and the exterior, the action and the receptivity work in tandem. It's why you're exalted in Capricorn, because Mars is exalted in the sign that takes strategic action. So that's what I think is going on here. Aries, this Leo new moon is giving you an opportunity to really start to be the teacher of your own. I feel like you're teaching people that you have shifted. Your integrity is shifted, who you are. The pigeonholing you into the warrior is no longer going to work, that you are now taking the brave aspects of this dynamic and stepping into them and saying, I can look at my own ego and see where I get in my own way. And in the same way, you're looking at someone else and saying, are you willing to do the same? So that's what I got going on today. I think that's going to be it for now. And thank you guys all for coming. We're going to have a lot more content. I'm working on some stuff to build the channel and to provide you with information that doesn't just give you these predictions, but gives you tools to implement, to feel the strength of your own creation. And so look for that kind of stuff. And I want to thank you all for joining me again. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your love and your participation. So I will see you next week. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Be good to yourself. Try not to think of it as Single Awareness Day, because that's no fun. And I'll see you next Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific. Peace out, everybody. Bye.